we've seen enough of that, so it was kind of refreshing to see something else. And her just sitting there is scarier to me, and knowing that there's somebody possessed in the house just sitting there in a complete daze for several hours is a lot more frightening to me than the whole visual of, of flailing around and all that sort of thing that we kind of expect being in the audience watching a movie that's revolved around a little girl being possessed, because we've seen it so much. So, yeah, I do have my negative points about the movie, but I actually liked it a lot more than I thought, and I thought the acting was pretty well done. I think her brother was actually frightening. He was kind of scary. In terms of the ending, I'm actually okay with the ending. Definitely wasn't a masterpiece, but I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And I think what saved it was the writing, the acting, where everything took place, rural area, nothing but locals around, and the locals aren't your everyday neighbor in suburbia.
That's true. This is my take of The Last Exorcism, formerly known as Cotton. That was the original title before it got changed. Produced by Eli Roth. And I admit, I too enjoyed it. I really liked Patrick Fabray. I believe, hopefully I'm not butchering it. But he did a great job as Cotton Marcus, a preacher in the South. And he
did a really good job as a preacher.
Yes, I can hear you. And of course, there are some little cheesy moments that will make people who are in my age area, or anyone who's ever seen the movie The Exorcist or of the recent Exorcism of Emily Rose, will kind of like feel like, okay, yeah, I've seen this done over and over again. But yeah, there are a little, the only one scene that, thank God they didn't show, and I am glad they didn't, because you know me, people, I love animals, and I knew it was probably a stuffed animal, after the whacking it took. But yeah, I'm not going to say any more than that, but thank God they didn't show it on camera, because I would have would have walked out and, waited until that scene was over. They were coming back in, because that's how much I love animals. But, the characters are really well done. Of course, it does hint a little bit on the Blair Witch side as well, because you have the film documentary, following the preacher, Cotton, the whole movie. And you'll like it, and if you don't see it in the theaters, which I would recommend you do, but if you don't, when it comes out onto DVD, check it out. It's not it's not super scary. It isn't downplayed to make you scream or laugh, but the ending, I'm not going to say anything about the ending, because the ending would be too far-fetched. But it's definitely a trippy little film towards the ending of the movie. Any more final thoughts here, co-host?
Yeah, I think you mentioned about The Last Exorcism, how it was reminiscent of the Blair Witch Project. And yeah, when I first started watching it, I thought, oh no, not one of these movies. No more handheld cameras. No more nausea. No more, oh, I'm making a documentary, but I'm in a movie about something else, and I'm making a documentary in the movie. So I was a little bummed out when I first got that impression, but what saved it for me was the story revolving around the preacher and his belief system Or did he even have belief in his belief system, or was he just trained to think and talk that way since he was very young? So, yeah, that kind of made it interesting.
Right. Because it is in some ways, you think, oh my God, this is going to be just another typical Blair Witch type of ripoff, or the last exorcism of Emily Rose, or The Exorcist. It's it's not anything like, they have a little similarity, but again, the acting, the writing helps this film out.
It does. I didn't expect it to be what it was like, but of course they did show a preview for theatrical releases of the original Exorcist, which I guess is going to have included the crab crawl scene and those other scenes that were originally taken out, which I really don't like those scenes. I liked The Exorcist just as it was, or when I originally saw it, before these new scenes that were deleted originally got placed back in. I'm against those scenes. Some scenes in movies are deleted for a purpose. They are supposed to not be in the movie. But I am going to see that in the theater. And it's at selected theaters. And I guess they're also going to show some behind-the-scenes footage and, stuff with little Linda Blair. So, yeah, that would be quite the experience to see the original Exorcist in a theater. That is going to be one of my favorite possession movies by far, and I think the runner-up is going to have to be The Exorcism of Emily Rose, because The Exorcism of Emily Rose I liked entirely. A lot of people became really discouraged with how much it seemed to be a court drama, and the emphasis was on that, but I was completely okay with that. So, yeah, I had no complaints at all about The Exorcism of Emily Rose.